Always true.
After 15 years in office, Sheikh Hasina's rule collapsed under mass protests, international pressure and growing dissent from within her own ranks. Bangladesh's most powerful leader since independence was ousted last year, marking what some now call its second liberation. Brought in to help navigate the aftermath, Muhammad Yunus, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate, once celebrated for lifting millions out of poverty through microfinance, now at 84, tasked with guiding a nation marred by repression and corruption on a new path. But questions remain. Is this a true break from the past or just a reshuffling of elites? Will the interim government deliver free and fair elections or build a future on its own terms or shaped by its own interests? There's also a reckoning abroad. Relations with India are tense. Hasina is in exile in New Delhi, where she continues to issue statements claiming she's still Bangladesh's rightful prime minister. And US President Donald Trump is threatening steep tariffs, increasing economic pressure. Now, with the world watching and a country in flux, we speak to the man at the centre of it all. Muhammad Yunus, Chief Advisor of Bangladesh, talks to Al Jazeera. Muhammad Yunus, welcome to Talk to Al Jazeera. So you've described the fall of Sheikh Hasina as Bangladesh's second liberation. I wonder if you can explain what you mean by that in the terms of this period of transition for the country.
Bangladesh came to a stage where corruptions and violations of all norms, destruction of all the institutions were going absolutely at the 100% level. So that's the time when young people emerged. They said, that's enough, you have to go. So they raised this issue, you have to go, and marched on the street together and made it happen on 5th of August. So that was something to see the enormous amount of misgovernance and enormous amount of atrocities and enormous amount of cruel things that have been done to the citizens of the country and plundering of the economy totally, stolen everything that they could lay your hands on. So they brought it to the end of it. So that was a kind of emergence of a new Bangladesh. They call it New Bangladesh. So the old Bangladesh is a kind of terrifying things. We want to create a new Bangladesh. That's the beginning of the new Bangladesh, to set things right.
How convinced are you that you will be able to set things right, that there will not simply be the re-emergence of the old guard, that there will be a complete break with the old and in with the new? How convinced are you of that?
That's a fear everybody has in their mind. How to avoid that, that's our effort. It's an interim government. Our effort is to make sure we don't go back to those old days. How to reform the institutions. So reform agenda is the most important agenda for interim government. We have appointed 15 reform commissions, each on one subject, on the constitution reform, election reform, civil administration reform, judiciary reform. So there are 15 of them. So they are coming up with their recommendations now. We are receiving the recommendations and they're handing over. Our job is to see how many of these recommendations are acceptable by people. So we want to do that, creating by a new commission. It's a consensus building commission. That commission goes with the recommendations to the political parties, asking them the question, which one you agree, which one you disagree, which one you partially agree, et cetera, in a kind of a spreadsheet. So ultimate goal is to find out on which of the recommendations all parties agree.
In finding consensus, I wonder how mindful you are of the role that Gen Z played in the so-called monsoon revolution. They were at the forefront and in many ways bore the brunt of police violence during it. How are you ensuring that there is consensus in terms of their involvement in the future direction of the country?
Here we are talking about the political parties. They are representing the views of the people. There are many people outside the political parties. But luckily, those young people that you mentioned, they form a political party itself. So as a political party, same thing is asked to them. What are the things that you agree, disagree, partially agree, and so on and so forth. Ultimate goal is to collect all them on which items all parties agree. That will be the most important thing because these are the items that all parties agree. And once it's done, process is done, this will be put in another piece of paper. On this, all parties agree, and all parties sign on this document.
So you clearly have a strategy. You clearly
clear.
have a method.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But personally, what kind of leader would you like to see take the country forward after this interim period is over?
Not go back to the old fascist regime that we have, not go back to plundering of the economy and so on and so forth. But you cannot guarantee as the leader, but you guarantee how the system works. So we are trying to reform the system.
You said fascist regime.
Yeah.
Those are strong words to use. Why use them?
Use them because that's the features they have displayed during their regime. So this is how they have been described in the entire program that the students were taken. So our idea is to see that the institutions are reformed, policies are reformed, so that we can go back and create a norm, standards that everybody agrees. People can say, hey, you agreed on this, now why aren't you doing that? When we have this piece of paper with all the agreements on it, we'll name it a July Charter. So this is the July which uprising took place. The July Charter will be kind of consensus for all parties, and we follow the July Charter, how to implement those things. Some of the implementation will come before the election, some of the implementation will come after the election. So this is the scenario that we are following right now.
In terms of the timeline for an election, are you confident of reaching the target of the earliest December this year?
That's right, yeah.
Latest next June, is that correct?
Always.
Where do we expect it to be between those two options?
That will depend on how many of them we are agreeing, disagreeing, how much time it takes. So if the consensus is you have a larger number of items that we can agree on and we want to implement before the election, then we take a longer time. If they are not in a hurry to have the election and go a smaller version of the implementation, then we have the early election in December. If it takes a longer version, we go up to June. Beyond June, we don't go.
How do you ensure the results of that election is respected? Will international observers be allowed in, for instance?
Everybody will be able. We promise, interim government keep promising, we will have the best election ever taken place in Bangladesh. That's the kind of election we are going to have.
Big implications as to whether or not the Awami League will be allowed to take part in those elections, the party of the former leader, Sheikh Hasina.
Part of it will be decided by the party itself to decide that they want to join or not. We don't know yet. They have not declared anything. And when it happens, what is the response from the Election Commission and so on and so forth.
So you're leaving it entirely to the Election Commission to make that
election.
decision.
There are other parties who may say that under this law they cannot participate and so on.
Is it fair to say that the honeymoon period after the fall of Sheikh Hasina is probably over now? There are some pretty big challenges that you need to provide concrete answers for, given the fact that there is this lingering influence of the old guard, others who may seek to exploit the political vacuum. And you also, of course, have something like 1 million Rohingya refugees as well that you are minding. Is this something Bangladesh can do alone?
Two things. One, about the impatience of people, whether honeymoon period is over or not. Seeing the situation in Bangladesh, still people think interim government is still the good answer for them. They're not saying, let the interim government go, have the election today. Nobody said that. So this is the direction we are going. We have not faced any such problem of people saying that hand it over as soon as possible. But the Rohingya, that's a separate issue. We're dealing with the Rohingya issue with international organizations, United Nations, and also to make sure that these people can go home safely. So our idea is how to make sure some understanding is created between Bangladesh and Myanmar so that there's a safe resettlement of Rohingyas to go back to their own homes.
Given the huge amount of pressure, like I said, 1 million Rohingya in Bangladesh and countries like the United States, even the United Kingdom and others saying, look, for financial reasons, we are not going to spend what we used to spend on international aid. Does that worry you? Does that concern you? Or can Bangladesh shoulder this pressure from other sources?
I would say that Bangladesh will not be alone to help them. There are many, many countries who will help them to make sure. But even more than that, it's not about helping them to stay. The important thing to help them to go back to their homes. They have their homes, they have their land, they have their professions. Go back to their profession. They are professional people like engineers, doctors, and lawyers, along with the farmers, craftsmen. They're all here. It's a whole society sitting out there. So they go back to their professions. So that will be the best solution. In the meantime, it's the responsibility of the whole world. It's not the responsibility of Bangladesh. Bangladesh has allowed them to stay. That's the best thing they could do under the circumstances. But it's assumed that there's a global community would be looking after their health and livelihood.
I suppose if the country wants to really forge ahead, it does also need to look into some of the darker aspects of its near past, particularly when it comes to the issue of accountability. I mean, you have pledged justice for those killed and disappeared under Sheikh Hasina's rule. Will your government invite in a UN-led investigation? How will you pursue accountability?
Already UN-led investigation has taken place. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, they published a whole report full of all the details of everything. So we're very happy that we didn't have to do it and say people questioning our ability to do that. They spend a lot of time documented, it's available in public domain. So this is a good start. We have our own research, our own reports, what the terrible thing they have done. So the legal system is now functioning to bring them to trial. So the trial thing will start very soon, probably at the end of this month or the beginning of next month.
And how far up the chain would those judicial proceedings go? Are we talking about military and intelligence officials?
Anybody who has committed any crime against humanity, nobody will be spared.
You've also alleged widespread corruption against the previous leadership. Can you share any specific cases of that?
Many of them. It's all documented in the UN report.
But any specific examples now? Examples of stolen assets, for instance?
Stolen assets. Banking system is completely emptied out, taking resources out of the country. Banks were taken out completely by taking over the board of the bank under gunpoint. So you replace the board, and then board gives you a loan. Massive loan. Understanding is you have to pay back. So on your book, it shows as a loan, but actually you just took the money away.
Where's the majority of that money gone, and how do you even start talking about asset recovery?
There are lots of investigations going on. We see part of it is in Europe, part of it is in Caribbean, and part of it in Asian countries. So we are tracing them and trying to get the money back as much as we can.
And are foreign governments helping you in doing that?
Absolutely. They're very cooperative, all of them.
Bangladesh has issued an arrest warrant for the British MP, Tulip Siddiq. I mean, she is Sheikh Hasina's niece. I mean, she's been accused of benefiting from family corruption. I think it's fair to say she firmly denies the allegations. Is this part of a genuine anti-corruption drive, or is there a certain degree of political retaliation here?
It's a case against concrete evidence. So the legal system has to work out. So we are not saying we are putting her to jail right away. We simply, Department of Anti-Corruption, the Anti-Corruption Commission actually, they brought the case. Now court has to decide whether the evidence is good enough to send her to jail or really...
Can she be extradited from the UK?
We'll try.
You would like to pursue that?
Absolutely. Well, same way as we have done for Hasina, who's left the country.
Talking about Sheikh Hasina, obviously she claims she is still the rightful Prime Minister. She's issuing all of these statements from India. How does the government view her presence there in India?
We had a BIMSTEC meeting in Bangkok where all the BIMSTEC heads of governments were there, including Prime Minister Modi. I had a discussion with Prime Minister Modi, and I made it very clear that, okay, if you want to keep her, that probably is not something that I can settle with you. But definitely, while she's here, she should not be talking because it creates a lot of problem for us. She's giving speeches to incite people inside of Bangladesh, and we have to suffer from that.
What did Prime Minister Modi say?
He said, if I recollect, he said this is a country where social media is open to anybody. I cannot control that.
So my question to you is, do you think that India is offering her political cover? Should she face justice back home? And can you in any way leverage that?
This is a legal procedure. I don't know what the law says, what to do. We have already sent a letter to Indian government to really send her to Bangladesh. They have not responded to yet. But when the legal procedures begin, and law will again, court will give the notice to her to see how to bring her.
So let me get this straight. You're saying that Prime Minister Modi has told you we can't do anything about her freedom of speech in a country, India, that has been accused of stifling freedom of speech, and in no way have you been given any kind of guarantees that she will be sent back to face justice?
No.
What does that do diplomatically between Bangladesh and India?
This is one of the cases that we have to resolve ourselves, that continue to do that. We understand what their legal situation is, what our legal situation is, but we are waiting for the legal notice coming from the court that brings it to a higher level of notice.
Was it deliberate that you decided to visit China first before India? Were you sending a message there?
I'm visiting everybody who I would like to go, the neighbors. I tried to go to India. They didn't respond to it. So I went to China, and now I'll go to Malaysia. So I'm busy, and I was in Bangkok, in Thailand. So I'm visiting many countries around, and I'm trying to revive SAARC as a community of South Asian countries. This is all the members countries. So today, SAARC is a kind of in a limbo. It's not functioning. I'm appealing to all the SAARC leaders that let's get back into it, collaborate with each other, meet each other, and so on. So that's one effort I'm making. Another effort is a BIMSTEC. Yes, we'll say, let's get together and see, resolve our issues and continue together. Our main issue is how to bring nations together for a better life for the citizens of those countries. BIMSTEC, currently, Bangladesh is the chair of BIMSTEC, so this is an important position for the BIMSTEC to hold those meetings and try to do that. And also we want to try to get the membership of ASEAN. That's another large number of countries where we'd like to be associated with. Right. And we're very happy that we get a good response.
So essentially you're willing to work with anyone who will work with you regionally. But India has to a certain extent given you a cold shoulder here. Is the alternative now a deepening ties with Pakistan instead?
I will not say cold shoulder. It's maybe temporary thing, something we have to resolve together. So I will not take this as a final thing. It's not something long-lasting thing. How to resolve this? Friendship is the key to live together and move together. And I will keep on insisting on how to bring people together in the neighborhood of Bangladesh and so on. And India-Bangladesh relationship should be one of the best relationships any nations could have together.
I appreciate you push back on the phrase cold shoulder, but somebody who has expressed his displeasure with you is President Donald Trump. I heard he donated to see me lose, he said, talking about your donation to the Clinton Foundation in 2016, ahead of her bid, of course, for the presidency. Do you regret that move now that Trump is back?
We have good relations with the Trump administration. We have no problem. We work together. We look forward to build a relationship, a strong relationship with the Trump administration. That's what we're working.
So you are engaged with the new administration?
Absolutely,
at the moment?
very strongly and very warmly. We have a very warm relationship with the Trump administration.
Do you see the US as a reliable partner? Are you being forced to choose between Beijing and Washington, D.C.?
No, this is not a question of choice. They're all our friends. USA is a good friend. China is a good friend. India is a good friend.
Nevertheless, you've been slapped with tariffs, like most of the world, at a time in which the country is emerging from years of turmoil.
This is not aimed at Bangladesh. This is a global policy of the US. We cannot question that. We are trying to see how we can continue with our relationship in a way that we benefit from that.
Do you still believe, after this trade war, that free market capitalism, something that you have been such a champion of, is really the way the world should be run?
I'll slightly modify it, saying that I always say that this civilization is a self-destructive civilization. No matter what you do, you cannot escape this self-destruction. So we have to redesign the system. We create a new civilization. There comes the free market and economy and so on. So essentially, the seed of self-destruction is in the system. So we have to bring it out. We have to create a new civilization which is not driven by greed, not driven by profit maximization, but social consciousness. So we are saying there's a business, profit maximizing business. I have no quarrel with them. But alongside of this profit maximizing, you have to create another stream of business called social businesses. Businesses to solve problems in a market way, but without any intention of making money for yourself. So money that you make profit into the business, it's rolled back into the business. They're problem-solving
I'm
business.
very interested in where you first were driven to challenge or answer some of these huge challenges, because you had turned your attention to alleviating poverty after the 1974 famine, one of the most devastating in recent history. An estimated 1.5 million people died in that. What do those experiences tell you about good and bad governance and about the needs of the poor?
Two things. One, I kept saying poverty is not created by the poor people. It's created by the system we built. Sometimes I give example of bonsai. I said, you take the seed or a
bonsai tree.
Bonsai
right.
tree, yeah. Take a piece of a tree and put it in a flower pot and let it grow. It will grow. Beautiful tree come out of that, but tiny little one. It's not the tall tree that it was before. I said, that's what happened to our entire human race. We are put in a flower pot, bonsai. So we emerge as a bonsai. Our capability, our ability to resolve our problem is all cut down because of the system we built doesn't allow us to release all our energy or our creativity. It's a job-driven economy. I said, job is not the answer of human beings. Human beings are born as a creative being. Job takes away creativity. Job is driven by our orders. You take orders and perform. And that's not what human beings are. Human beings are not about slavery. Human beings are about exploring limits. It's huge limits that you have inside of you, or how to explore that. So that is the kind of economy that we have to build. In brief, I finally conclude that we have to build a new civilization based on social business.
No tall order, a bonsai economy, you say. Something that is perfect,
Absolutely.
but is small and it's fair, free and fair for all. I mean, given Bangladesh is relying on IMF support, can you guarantee that any of these reforms that are being asked of the country as it goes through this difficult transition period will not burden the poorest even further?
If it does, it will be a shame. This is what the intention of the government to do that. We are trying to overcome the problems that we are inherited. So make sure that we don't have this burden on us. We create an economy where we take care of ourselves. That's the whole thing. And that's what releasing the energy of 180 million people. It's a tremendous energy. Bangladesh is an amazing country, 180 million people living in 150,000 square kilometers. And that population is growing. Half the population of Bangladesh, remember 180 total, half the population of Bangladesh is under the age of 27. It's a very young population with full of energy, handful of technology in their hand, and change miracles to do that.
Was the monsoon revolution a revolution for all, between the urban and the rural, between the old and the young? It is such a vast population. As you say, a huge number are very young indeed and will be custodians of the country going forward. But I wonder if there is a big, unbridgeable divide between what's going on in major cities and what's going on in the far-flung regions of the country.
It's an amazing thing what the July Revolution has done, July Uprising has done, brought everybody together, whether you're old, whether you're young, whether you're urban, whether you're rural, whether you're a girl, whether you're a woman, whether you're a man or a child, doesn't matter. Everybody's on board. That's what made it happen. It happened in hours' notice, not months' notice. It all began, and then it's all ended within the same month.
There have been, I need to bring this up, reports that show that there is still widespread labour abuse in Bangladesh's subcontracted factories. That's despite your own legacy of microfinance. How do you respond to critics who say microfinance actually helped and it didn't resolve these deeper issues of inequality and poverty?
Yeah. Microcredit is not the solution for everything. We're telling that the people can have their own life, don't have to work for somebody else. And that's a theme that I work on, saying that people are basically born as entrepreneurs, but the system doesn't allow us to be entrepreneurs. System stops you because the financial institution doesn't work that way. Financial institution lends money to people who already have lots of money and doesn't lend money to people who don't have money. That's my theme that I always work. So labor issue is a different issue. Yes, there are problems in the labor segment of our population. We are dedicated to solve that problem. We are getting ready to sign up the ILO convention so that we fulfill all the requirements. That's the direction we are going. So we inherited lots of those problems, but our government is making sure that we perform at the level of the international community standard. That's our commitment. And we're working on it very hard.
As we've reached the end of this discussion, I want to ask you a personal question. You are clearly a very able and very lively 84-year-old. I got your age right.
That's right, yes.
You are a Nobel laureate. You're internationally known. Why are you doing this now at this point in your life?
I got a phone call from Bangladesh. I was in Paris. They were saying that Hasina has left. The regime has collapsed. Now we have to form a government. We want you to become the head of the government. I said, no, not me. I don't want to get involved. You find somebody else. So I gave my arguments why I don't want to get involved and so on. But they were not in a listening mood. So I said, why don't you think over it, find somebody else, give a big try. I'm sure you'll find many people who are capable of running the country. So take 24 hours, come back tomorrow and tell me what you did. So they called me back next day and they repeated that we tried, but it didn't happen. I said, no, you didn't try hard enough. So it started on the 5th of August. The Hasina left and I got the first call. And the second call, on the third call, they said, look, we have been trying and you are refusing it. We have been searching for everything. But everybody said, no, this is the best solution. He has to come. And we have given our lives, these young people, etc. All the description of what happened. Then I felt a little bad that I'm refusing this. So I said, okay, you have sacrificed your life and give blood. Despite my reluctance to do that, I'll accept it. And they were very happy. Immediately, it's all over the press that he's coming, he's taking the responsibility.
And when was that exact point that
It's 8th of August. On 8th of August, I arrived in Dhaka and took charge of the government.
How does it feel to come full circle now? I mean, of course, you have been facing smear campaigns, multiple smear campaigns by the Hasina leadership. You've been threatened with jail, with fines, all sorts of allegations levelled against you. How does it feel as we reach the end of our discussion to be in this huge position of responsibility? And what country will Bangladesh be in the next decade?
It's a tremendous responsibility. At the same time, I must emphasize repeatedly, it's a great opportunity. History never gave us this opportunity before. Suddenly that opportunity came. It's a clean slate. You can do anything you want, provided you can create a new government, new Bangladesh. And that's a challenge given to us. We are working very hard. We'll try our best to make that happen and hold the election and hand it over to the newly elected government. That's our job. But in the meantime, we want to make sure it's peacefully done, everything done in a very correct procedures so that people feel happy at every step that we take.
Mohammed Yunus, thanks for talking to Al Jazeera.
Thank you. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you, Al Jazeera, for covering Bangladesh so well.